Alright, moving into game number 6. It's been a pretty intense series so far. I'm really digging this tonight. And now that I got some caffeine in me, I've woken up just a little bit more. So that's always good too. So moving in, we're now in game number 6. We're on GSL Red City. Red City. Alright, let's see. Want that up there. Want that down there. And then I have it all set up so I can do the announcing of the positions. In the top left-hand corner, spawning in as the pink Zerg for XGs, we have Dark. He just took that last game in a base race scenario with Mutas, some clever Roach Burrow play versus a ridiculous force of Void Race that almost brought XT back into the game. Speaking of XT, in the bottom left-hand corner, spawning in for them, hoping to extend it to a 4-2 lead, it is their blue Protoss, PrimalMoon, who looks like he's Forge fast expanding, maybe Gateway, we'll have to see, but probably Forge. Alright, he's scouting north first, so he's going to get lucky and see that that is the position that the Zerg player he is against is in. Look at him all scouting. Zoom zoom. You know, now that I think about it, I'm surprised my stream is working because I didn't update the stream key since the other night. Huh. That might be the issue some people are having. I will update the stream key right after this game. I was just thinking about that. Anyway. Probe got hit so hard that it lagged the game out. That is insane. That drone, his fisticuffs are just ridiculous. Just punches him right in the face, causes lag. Alright, he's trying to scare out this probe. He really wants to be like, hey man, just go away. I just want to make a hatchery. The Overlord keeps telling me to. You know, it's not really my choice. I don't want to beat you up, but I kind of have to. Alright, there you go. Back up. Boom, there it is. Alright, so he drops down that hatchery. In the meantime, the Nexus first down here out of our Protoss player. He didn't even have a Forge down before he dropped that. That's pretty ambitious. He does scout up and see that the spawning pool... Did he see that? No, he didn't see the spawning pool finishing. Ooh, nice. Dark has the Hunter Killer. I just realized that. It's the Elite Hydralisk unit name. It's pretty awesome. Pretty cool. Pretty cool little border we got going on here. Moon. Alright. I like it. He has the Night Elf looking moons. And I know they're actually... I'm pretty sure they're actually Protoss. I don't think they're actually like Night Elf, but they look very much like them. Colin lag. He may need to pause it. We'll see. We'll know that he's lagging and he needs it when he misses a very, very clutch force field. Because that's what happens to Protoss. You're like, oh, okay, my lag isn't that bad. And then you miss a force field and you're like, alright, well, guess that was the game. Because I gotta land all these perfectly in order to survive. Also, I sound a little bit like I'm complaining about Protoss tonight. I'm not. I actually think Protoss is probably the easiest race to play as a random player. And people may hate me, but I think Terran's definitely the hardest. There's so much micro you got to be doing at all times. In all of the fights. So, though, I will say Zerg definitely increased in skill level in Heart of the Swarm, where you can't just derp around in giant swarm because of Widow Mines. So I did like that skill factor added in to Zerg play. Definitely makes it more fun for me while I'm playing. I will say that. Alright. Zerglings, they're very ambitious. Trying to see what they can do against this wall. Not really much being able to get done though. Alright. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Nothing too crazy. Pause please. Being called by Dark. Not really sure what that's about, but we'll see here in a second, I'm sure. In the meantime, I will continue to update for the stuff after the game. Oh, excuse me. Alright, game started back up. Nothing too crazy. Ooh, good. It's the cool little Zealot armor. I like it. I don't like when people don't use the level 30 rewards. I think all of them are really awesome. I guess the Ling one's probably the worst, but I like all of them. See, these Zerglings could have giant mohawks on their back right now. Fins for aquatic adventures, but instead, they're very sad. As Overlord trying to get in here, see what's going on. Hey guys, don't mind me, just trying to see. And he sees that it's essentially nothing. There's really nothing being built over here. There's this, which happens to be a Stargate, but he missed it. But what he sees, nothing at all. So he's got to be kind of concerned. He's got to be thinking, well, I mean, I'm sure something is being built. The really odd thing so far about this game is Dark expanded towards his opponent, which is really interesting. So that makes me think he's going to want to be aggressive with Roach Hydra, maybe. Especially when he sees the first Phoenixes out on the map. But, I mean, I don't know. I generally don't expand towards unless, like, I'm really, really heavy. Like, maybe if I'm going for, like, a Ling attack right now that'll be hitting in about a minute, I would expand towards them. Or Roach attack with, you know, similar timing. But other than that, it's just really dangerous. But, I mean, I guess with the amount of drop play that was going on last game, it's better to have your units able to fall back to your third in a line than have to run all the way back up here if you're attacking. So there's that advantage too. PrimalMoon is going to be dropping his third base. And Overlord is going to get picked off here. This Overlord, no, he didn't see the third being started. You'd think he'd throw it towards that just to make sure, but it's not being picked off, or it's not headed that way right now. Quite a few roaches heading across the field. Spore crawlers going down, it looks like in all the mineral lines. 1, 2, 3, yep, they're all started. They're all rolling. Most of them are finishing right now. More drones being produced. And these roaches are very slow. They're little fatty roaches. They're not really going to be able to do that much. A roach looks like he's going to be melted over here for essentially nothing. 2 cannons starting up. Oh, another roach getting melted. And a probe being killed in retaliation. But I don't really think he's going to be able to get anything else done. Void Ray production is, you know, cruising along. This is the second one, and there's 2 more gateways. So it looks like it's probably going to be Void Ray Zealot for the army composition for the foreseeable future, which means lots of queens have to be started. Hydras, and go for a good timing on it. Third base seems like it's going to be rolling pretty well, though, here. It's actually pretty narrow chokes towards any approach on this map, as long as you can get your third up. It's a lot easier to defend the third once it's up than try to get it up in this situation. Sometimes it's like not really that big of a deal to defend a third. It's more about getting it up. Or, I'm sorry, it's not that hard to get one up, it's more about defending it. In this case, it's way harder to actually get it out there than to defend it, just because the ramps are so small at the third base. Alright, lots of roaches just kind of wandering around the map. There's still only that one Phoenix, so he's got to be thinking, alright, well, I guess it's going to be a mass Void Ray. Infestation Pit is rolling. It's always good versus Void Rays. Speaking of good versus Void Rays, at least at the beginning of the game, before they get too out of hand, there are some Hydras on the field now. And again, building your third towards your opponent is very good for Hydra play because the creep is already on its way towards their base. So that's always very, very nice to have. And chat, you guys are very dead tonight. Nobody's chitty chatty. Yeah, there's the full wall over there at that side of the third. Phoenix scooching around, just waiting to see when the army's going to start. Heading this way. Which happens to be right now. Wait, did this Hydra's range finish? Okay, yeah, Hydra's range did finish. They don't have speedy bits, though, I don't think. Are they speedy? No, they're not speedy. They're speedy, though. Look at those speedy little roaches. Zoom, zoom. Roaches heading up. I feel like he can deal... I don't know. It really depends on the force fields right now. Knocking down the side rocks, you do not want to attack into that choke, though. It's like the most easily force-fielded area ever. Look at that. 2 force fields, that's it? That's all that takes? Now, will the Zerg be pushing in here? He's going for Tunneling Claws. Looks like he's trying to wait for it. +1/+1 is finished. Void Rays have +1/+1 actually as well. Tunneling Claws did finish. don't really think there's a situation where you're like, where did all those roaches go? I do wonder. So it'll be pretty difficult for him to actually be moving in and taking that attack. And now the Mohawk roaches make their approach into the third base. Getting a few cannons, but he's going to lose quite a lot for that. Passing out of range. Where did the Hydralisks go? They went back home to defend against one Phoenix somewhere? Yeah, there it is. Take that, Phoenix. Alright, so he knows he's not going to be able to pressure in. A lot of Hydras coming in. Storm being started, though. So if he wants to take advantage of having this many Hydras, which is really enough to wipe out his opponent at this point, he needs to press right now before a bunch of storms get ready, you know? Ugh, it's going to be difficult. I'm a little afraid for Dark. This Void Ray count is getting really, really high. And of course, this game I'm rooting for XGS because that'll tie it back up, and that means more games of StarCraft, which is what I'm all about. It's no bias in particular, I just want more games. Look at all these Hydras. The fourth base did get established, so that's good. But the fourth is going up for the Protoss player too, so I mean the Zerg really needs, you know, to make some type of decision, deal some damage. Alright, they're the Infestors. That's a good choice. He may attack once all these Infestors get out. He's capped. He needs to start leaning in order to start trading. And he needs to take another base behind it too. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so he's going to start that other base, and then he's going to start leaning on his opponent. Lots of hatcheries finishing or starting up here, though. 3 more hatcheries, 1 at that base over there, and then 2 macro ones. Alright, so 8 Infestors, that's a lot of Fungals. That's enough to chain Fungal all the Void Rays to death if they pile up poorly. But, I mean, the High Templar are out. They can feedback, they can storm. It's going to be a pretty interesting engagement when it does happen. Alright. Piling up all his queens, he's going to send them out. That's why he started more hatcheries, is so he doesn't have to worry about injects and still be able to refill and replenish his army. Oh man, we'll have to see how this engagement right here goes down. Mothership Corps moving forward. It's going to try and get a little bit of scout on that army right there. Not actually getting any. The Changeling was very ambitiously moving forward. Zerg player sees it scoop by. Alright, this middle position's kind of vulnerable, at least overall. And will he notice that that army is going up towards his 4th base? Alright, yeah, he sees it. He has the watchtower, so he knows it's headed up there. He's going to try and move up and get ready to take that out. What was that? Was that a Dark Templar? No, the shrine is just now finishing. See? This is the rough thing. You gotta catch them when they're out in the open, and you can't really do anything now. Big storms going down. There's enough energy for force fields for all the rest of the time, though. Big fungal growths going down on all the Templars, though. But big storms in return. Lots of transfuses going down. Big reinforcements warping in, though. But there's still quite a lot of transfuses and quite a lot of fungals ready. Oh man, it's just a rough position for the Zerg player. Not being able to push out and crush down this army. I mean, at this point he could. The force fields are pretty light now. How many sentries does he even have left? Just 3. One of them has none. What do the other 2 have? One of them has none. The other one has like 3 almost. I mean, this is his time. He just limited the count very, very hard. There's a lot of Hydras that just now finished. Dark Templar is really trying to work down that base over there, but they do get picked off. However, some new Dark Templars should probably be coming out over here on this side of the map. Nope, Zealots. And getting pulled to both positions, Moon should be able to take out this base pretty easily. Yeah, those Void Rays just melt it. Templars storming everything over there, but now they're out of energy. And that was a really weird place for that storm. And now all the Void Rays getting caught in a big fungal growth. All he has to do is just keep chain fungaling them, and he should be able to take all this out. Not a lot of surface area for those Hydras, though, to be dealing their damage. Queen's so fat, taking up a ton of room. But they are tanking for the Hydras versus the Zealots, which is what you definitely want. And the Void Rays finally look like they may be cleaned up, but I don't know. Their overcharge should be coming back in a second. More Void Rays rolling up. 3 at full health. The Queen's energy is totally worn down though. Now a bunch of High Templars and Zealots are charging up. I mean, with a 4 base on 4 base economy right now, with nothing actually saturated at the 4th, it's the Protoss' game to win. But the Zerg has banked a ton of resources, so he's going to be able to remax pretty easily. It's really Larva at this point because his Queens were pulled off of all those hatcheries for so long that is more of his limiting factor. And now Dark Templars again moving up, trying to snipe this 3rd base. Hydra's moving out on the field. Oh, no fungal. There's the fungal growth. Those Hydras all got very low from storms though, and these Void Rays are actually going to trade kind of decently versus them. Very, very low HP over here. The Dark Templars did not manage to pick that off, and now they're going to start moving drones over to the actual 4th and 5th base now. Hydra's charging in, but almost all melting before they actually get a lot of surface area on those Hydras. Another warp in started somewhere. What was that? Okay, it's down here. His army, his ground army is at 3-1. His Void Rays are at 1-1-1. But it's 3-2 for the Zerg player. Oh, there's a Colossus, wasn't there? Okay, yeah, there we go. Colossus headed out on the field right now. That's really going to be the equalizer with all of those Hydras all over the place. Big warp in of Zealots, but they actually run, unfortunately, into a wave of Roaches. We should be able to pick them off pretty easily. Spit, 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 spit. Alright, now both of these pylons on this side of the map are going to get finished off. A 5th base looks like it's about to be established over here for PrimalMoon, though. So he's just cruising on his macro. The Zerg player's technically on 6 bases, but one of them isn't finished. The other one is, you know, rallied drones to the side of a mineral patch. This one's pretty much totally empty. I mean, it's a little bit in shambles over here for the Zerg player, but he has maxed out again. But there's a lot of defensive structures at each one of these bases for the Protoss. Wow, that was a lot of defense. A bunch of Queens piling up again. A bunch of Mutas. Wow, 21 Mutas going down right now to finish that remax. Alright, sounds like the Zerg. Looks like the Zerg, I guess I should say. Sounds, I mean, I guess they kind of wiggle. I guess that could be sound of Zerg attacking. But he looks like he should be moving into attack as he has maxed out again. And now it's how much damage are these Mutas going to be able to do. I feel like you want to kind of bait some damage, some storms on the Mutas. Alright, there's a good storm. There's another good storm. Alright, now they're in the back. They should be able to work on these Colossus pretty well. Hydra's in the front. They are walking through all slow. That's not good. And the Mutas are actually look like they're focusing the Stalkers, which is not the worst choice, but at the same time, those Colossus all live and just dealt so much damage. And now he has 3 living Colossus. All he's going to have to do is build a bunch of Stalkers to support them, and he should be able to push pretty easily. All the Queens didn't come up for the fight. I think that was a bit of a mistake. He definitely intended to bring them with him. He moved them up, but they did not come along. And he's starting to run out of remax potential here. He is saturating these bases, at least. A little bit better than it was. The main, what's going on? Okay, there's no workers up there. There's 8 here. How many workers does he actually have? Okay, 64 spread out across 6 bases. Okay, that's why they all look really, really thinly populated. The Mutas are at 2-1 right now. There's 16 Roaches out on the field. They're about to be... I'm sorry, they're about to be at 2-1. Very, very, very close. Overseer being melted pretty easily there. Alright, now the Mutas are at 2-1. He needs to start doing some positional stuff like moving in, trying to take out some of this production or something. Alright, Burrow coming along. He's going to try and pop up and deal damage here. Phoenix is out on the field. Roach is popping up. Mutas flying in. They should be trying to focus these Colossus so the Roaches can just trade pretty equally over there. Muta's picking off the Phoenix count. That's really good for him. 2 more Phoenix flying in. Alright. With the Queens here this time, it looks like he's going to be able to take this fight. And possibly this game, though there are a ton of cannons out on the map overall. Queens not throwing down any transfuses. Did Aeon Pulse Crystals get finished over here? No, they did not. They're at their 5 range, which is their Heart of the Swarm base. Alright, the mutas look like they're slowly going to get finished getting picked off over here. But there is a large amount of roaches headed across the field, and it should be able to smash up into the production. So all these bases around the map that he has, I mean, those are great, but they're not going to really be able to do anything if there's no production to back them up. Alright, so now that a giant commitment to phoenixes has been made, the roach swarm arrives. Very good tech switching here out of Dark, and it looks like he should be able to take this game. I'm not really sure where he's headed. There's a Dark Templar he seems to be fairly afraid of. He's stomping forward with all those roaches. Looks like he's going to kill the 3rd, which is an interesting choice. Alright, 3rd is going to drop pretty easily here. Overseers are not going to live for very long, but they do live long enough to pick off all those Dark Templars. And now if he takes out this Dark Shrine, that's really going to limit the potential comeback. Oof. Alright, so now he's burrowed. Very sneakily moving across. At the speed of nothing. Alright, a bunch more roaches over here. Now a bunch of Corruptors being made. So those Corruptors should be able to take out the Phoenixes pretty easy, and then he can transition back into Mutas. I think that's the purpose of them. I think he did finish a Greater Spire somewhere. Where is it? No, he just has a regular Spire. There's a lot of idle drones, actually. A lot of idle drones. That's really hampering his gas income. And he did take out that pylon that was powering everything. I'm surprised he didn't depower that pylon, but I mean, he is making the Protest player waste a bunch of resources on essentially nothing. They killed, what, 1 roach over there? And it's going to be pretty difficult for him to hold on. He's not actually able to build Stalkers anymore, as the Cybernetics Core was up here at the fight off. Now this base is dying. Not a lot of surface area on those Zealots. Stealthing away. GG called. Dark moves it into game number 7. Tying it up 3-3. XGS, pretty big comeback. We'll have to see if they're going to pull it out in this next game, game number 7.